Is this the mosh pit? Great! Along with the Green Goblin, Rhino, Scorpion and Dr. Octopus, video games are one of Spider-Man's longest-running enemies, and the web-slinger's relationship with the medium has been a checkered one. Don't get us wrong, over the years a few games have managed to do the character justice, but more often than not, Spider-Man games end up being far less than amazing, failing to capture Spidey's own brand of gymnastic ass-kicking, or overcompensating with timed button press gameplay that's at worst infuriating and at best accidentally hilarious.
I'm going to die!
Until that is the arrival of Marvel Spider-Man from Insomniac Games, and damn it, they've absolutely bloody nailed it! Here are the 7 ways Marvel Spider-Man gets Spider-Man right, at last.
10:30, we've got an armed robbery in progress.
What is Spider-Man without his trademark webbing? Nothing but a super strong Olympic-grade gymnast and pioneering scientist is what?
I think we did it.
Okay, fine, that still sounds amazing, but let's be real, Spidey's got a web sling. And we're delighted to say that zipping around New York in the new Spider-Man is an absolute joy. There's no one thing that makes this the best Spider-Man traversal ever, rather it's a series of little touches. Importantly, when you hit the R2 button to start swinging, your webs latch onto an actual building, and somehow, in a stupendous act of programming, always the right one for the direction you're trying to move in. In the past, some Spidey games have simply had your webs attached to the sky to make getting around more straightforward, but webbing to real objects means that you'll have to pay attention and adapt to your surroundings as you maneuver around town. Swinging through Manhattan's glossy financial district, for instance, gives you loads of airspace to play with, and has a different feel to zipping through Central Park, where you'll be flying along mostly at tree level like some kind of metropolitan Tarzan. Wherever in New York you are, you'll always feel like Spidey when you're web-slinging, thanks to a physics engine that gives Spider-Man a real sense of weight. Hitting jump at just the right point in your pendulous swing to give Spidey the most forward momentum feels absolutely brilliant. Well worth how foolish you'll look in real life when making involuntary whoosh noises at the TV. Other touches that make swinging a real treat include being able to hold circle while running along a building to quickly change direction, hitting jump near the top of a building to fire yourself forward over the top of it, and all the little acrobatic bits of flair that Peter Parker adds automatically, which turn every jump into a limb-twisting feat of aerial wonder. Having spent a lot of time with the game, we can say, don't be surprised if you catch yourself swinging around with no waypoint in sight, just for the sheer hell of it. Do still use fast travel once or twice though, just for the fun of seeing Spidey on the subway. Real talk, the punch-ups in Spider-Man are very, very heavily influenced by one other superhero in particular. That's Batman and his dynamic beatdowns in the Arkham series. As with Bats, fighting involves raining down fisticuffs on a bunch of goons as they try to surround you, tapping a button when you see the Spidey sense flash blue to execute a perfectly animated dodge. It may be strikingly similar, but bearing that in mind, it's remarkable how much Spider-Man's combat feels like it was built for this superhero in particular. Fighting is so balletic, it sometimes looks more like Spider-Man's enemies are part of an elaborate dance, albeit with a partner who really needs more practice with the lifts. And Peter Parker's particular powers are always in play. Just like with rats, in New York you're never more than 6 feet away from a throwable object, which can be webbed at speed into the skulls of your foes. Then there's the fact that using your webs to fight a few feet off the ground is generally safer, and when an enemy goes down, the best way to keep your combo going is to press triangle to zip across the battlefield to the next unlucky mook. Best of all, if you're overwhelmed, there's no reason to stay stuck in the middle of a criminal dog pile. You're Spider-Man after all, just web away for a moment and plan your next attack. Combat also feels right for this superhero when you're losing though. Peter Parker's no bruiser like Rhino. He's a wiry dude who looks like a stiff breeze would carry him out to sea. And appropriately for a nimble and lightweight brawler, getting hit in this game really hurts. Don't be surprised to see a heavy hit from an enemy wiping out a huge chunk of your health reserves. The solution, of course, is not to get hit, which is easier than it sounds as the game is so built around evading. It's one more way that the battles in this game feel just right for Spider-Man's unique brand of brawling, and if you really want to stay in character, make sure to get a selfie afterwards.
All units, level 4 mobilization. Location, Fisk Tower.
Fisk?
One of the best things about Marvel's Spider-Man is that it drops you straight into the Spidey universe you already know and love. At the point where the game begins, Peter Parker has been living as Spider-Man for 8 years already. He's mastered his powers, he's learned to more or less balance his life as a superhero with that of a cash-strapped 20-something, and as we learn from the collectible backpacks dotted around New York, he's already had more zany adventures than you can shake a cybernetic scorpion tail at.
The jammer I whipped up to jam Vulture's wings. Too bad he improved them after that.
Insomniac has the wisdom to assume that, as he's probably the most famous superhero in the world, you're probably already pretty au fait with the Spider-Man mythos, and if not, you can pick it up as you go. As such, the game gets right into its own story, without having to watch Uncle Ben kick the bucket for the 1000th time, or Peter Parker painfully learning that with great power comes great responsibility, blah 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 blah. It's refreshing to be able to relax into a new story, one that definitely contains its fair share of twists and surprises, as well as novel takes on familiar characters.
I knew Jameson was wrong about you. You're a little weird, but you got a good heart.
Have you got somewhere to go?
I can take care of myself.
I'm sure you can, but just in case, there's a place called the Feast Center.
Seen it. I don't want charity.
They got the best wheat cakes in the city, hands down.
Mom used to make those. Haven't had any in a long time. I'll check it out. Thanks, Spider Guy.
It's Spider-Man.
Swinging on synthetic web into a criminal's windpipe is great, but to get Spider-Man right, you need a great Peter Parker as well. And this, my buds, is a Peter of the highest order.
Yeah, hi. I'm trying to track down some items that were accidentally picked up from a dumpster outside my apartment.
Dumpster number?
Hang on. Uh, 64476.
Brought to life by experienced voice actor Yuri Lowenthal, the Peter Parker you'll play as in Marvel's Spider-Man is kind, courageous, and never short of a quip in the middle of a brawl.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That one was better broken.
Thanks to some great scripting, what you get in Spider-Man's newest video game outing is a hero who's earnest but never whiny, who's funny but always strives to do the right thing, even as the world he occupies becomes increasingly cynical. Sometimes in a way that eerily mirrors the real world, especially when J. Jonah Jameson takes to the airwaves, having packed in his job as newspaper editor for the much more lucrative role of controversial talk radio host and conspiracy theorist.
Apparently, this winged criminal has fallen ill with cancer, and he's been moved to the Raft's infirmary for treatment, which will undoubtedly cost a fortune in public funds. Now let me ask you, why do we even have an infirmary at the Raft? It's a supermax prison, full of maniacs. If they get sick, let nature take its course.
Whenever you're playing as or watching a cutscene starring Peter Parker, you're necessarily not swinging around kicking ass as Spider-Man, so it's to the game's credit that its occasional PT interludes, where you might do something as humdrum as visiting Aunt May at the emergency shelter she works at, don't feel boring.
Hey guys, how's the game going?
How's it look like it's going? I'm winning.
Get this guy checked for dementia, Pete. I'm crushing him.
Well, the important thing is having fun.
Again, that's down to the writing, which gives the game a real sense of heart. Enough so that Spidey's ensemble of supporting characters are also fun to spend time with, and occasionally play as. Props to Mary Jane for bringing us perhaps the first genuinely enjoyable forced stealth mission in video game history. Hint to other game makers, the secret is to have a button that summons a Spider-Man down from the ceiling to get your enemies.
Grab him.
Okay, that's the superpower we want in real life.
Just call me your friendly neighborhood garbage man.
Spider-Man's main missions generally lean towards the stupidly epic, taking out entire buildings full of bad guys for instance, or doing something misguided with a helicopter.
Hi! Is this the flight to Newark?
But away from the noise of the central story, there's a huge number of side missions to take on around New York. You'd expect nothing less from a big open-world game, but what's satisfying is how much more grounded some of these missions are. For instance, one early side mission sees you helping a woman whose husband is being blackmailed into helping a gang plan a robbery. An extremely small-scale crime compared to the lunacy unfolding in the main story, but one that Spider-Man takes equally seriously.
All right. I'm gonna see where she's taking the plans. I'll be in touch.
Then there are the missions Spider-Man performs as a favour to Harry Osborn, checking in on his citywide monitoring stations. These usually have a civic angle, taking smog samples or making sure Manhattan's cell network is properly calibrated. Which is hardly the most pressing thing, but it's sort of sweet to hear Peter describe these cleanup missions like they're the most vital thing in the world.
So much depends on cellular networks now.
And come on, nothing Electro or Scorpion is cooking up across town can take priority over helping one of Spidey's pals get back all his lost homing pigeons. These side missions keep the game grounded, and crucially, they let the game tick off the all-important friendly neighborhood part of Spider-Man's whole deal. They're also fun enough that you'll want to track them down. I mean, unless they turn out to be a hacking minigame, which, like all hacking minigames, can absolutely do one.
Guys, we all love a parade, but you gotta get permits first. Curbside service.
QuickTime events, whereby cutscenes are either passed or failed depending on how quickly and accurately you can tap a series of buttons, have been part of gaming for the best part of 2 decades, and yet to many gamers they're nothing more than a frustrating distraction.
Try to fall slower!
And a game like Spider-Man is exactly the kind of title that attracts QuickTime events like moths to an open flame. That is, a game where you expect to see your hero perform complicated and acrobatic feats that would be impossible if the person playing was in full control.
I guess this is the plan!
The good news is, though, that Insomniac Games have clearly exercised restraint when it comes to these controversial button-tapping moments. There are certainly a fair few QuickTime events in Spider-Man, but what makes this game different is the execution. First, the events are fairly rare. You're unlikely to feel bombarded by them every minute. Second, QuickTime events appear when you expect, i.e. in fights or in cinematic moments of combat. You'll know instinctively when it's safe to pop the controller down and enjoy a cutscene, and when you need to keep your fingers hovering over the buttons. Finally, and most importantly, they're pretty easy. This is a game that demands concentration, especially when combat gets heated, so it's a relief that QuickTime events are telegraphed far ahead of time with these diminishing blue circles. Plus, on the odd occasion you do miss a prompt, generally you won't have to start an entire sequence over again. In fact, the checkpointing is so generous you may even be tempted to fail 1 or 2 on purpose just to see what happens. Oh, everyone dies! See, now we know! Just as this game assumes you know your way around the Spider-Man universe, it's also aware that people expect a bigger world from a Marvel game. Now, to moderate your expectations, don't expect Rocket Raccoon to show up and take a job as the new editor of the Daily Bugle. I mean, unless that's a reward for 100% completion, because I'm not at that point yet. This is still a Spider-Man game, and it's the heroes and villains from the Spider-Man comic universe you'll primarily be dallying with. But that said, there are so many little treats for Marvel fans dotted around that comic book or Avengers enthusiasts will be in their element. Consider, for instance, the unlockable suits that hail from Spider-Man spin-off comics, or the Easter eggs found in Spidey's collectible backpacks.
That blind guy gave me his card in case Spider-Man ever needs a lawyer. Wait, hold on. If he's blind, how did he know I was Spider-Man?
Or the Marvel Universe locations you'll come across in-game, mostly because they're part of the game's landmark photography side quest. It's weirdly thrilling to stumble past Alias Investigations, the detective agency of Jessica Jones, and if there's a bigger geek thrill to be had in 2018 than swinging as Spider-Man around the very top of the Avengers Tower, I'll be amazed. Spoiler alert, there's no Tony Stark at the top, just some air conditioning units. You'd think Tony would have something more high-tech. Maybe get it on the to-do list.
Excuse me, late for work!
So those are just 7 of the ways that Spider-Man on PS4 gets Spider-Man right at long last. Will you be playing the game? If you're playing it already, what do you think of it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you had fun watching this video, then why not subscribe? It's what Spider-Man would do, probably. Thanks for watching.